Can you make compost in the winter? And specifically, how do you compost food scraps during the winter? I'll show you how, and I'll keep it really simple so you don't end up making a mess, like a stinky mess. And I'm going to keep it quick because it's really cold out here. Now, winter composting is like summer composting. It just happens in slow motion. But first things first, if you have an active compost pile that is a hot compost pile, then you can go ahead and put your food scraps directly in that. But let's talk about composting here for a second. What I mean by hot compost is a pile or a heap that's between 140 and 160 degrees Fahrenheit. That's what you need to break down food scraps. If you have a hot compost pile, great. You have then about a 2-week period after you build your compost pile where it's safe to put food scraps in your pile. Otherwise, below that temperature, it'll just take longer for the food scraps to break down. Now, if your compost pile or barrel or drum is cold, or it's simply a heap of scraps and organic materials that's piled in the corner of your yard, you can still add the food scraps, but it will take longer for them to break down, and you run the risk of attracting pests like rats and raccoons. Now, if you don't have a compost heap, period, a barrel or a drum, you have 3 great options. First, you can freeze your food scraps until you're ready to use them. Number 2, you can bury them in the garden, which is one of my favorite things to do. Well, that's not going to happen. And you can store them in a container. So let's talk about the third option, which is storing your food scraps in a container. First thing to do is set up an animal-proof container or a bucket or a tote like this. Now, just to prove it's really cold out here, we've got some serious ice. Ugh. Oh. All right, we'll put that aside. Right. Okay. The second thing is you want to keep a barrel of leaves like this. You can collect them in the fall. Leaves contain a lot of microbes and bacteria on them already, which helps inoculate what we're going to do here. And also, these are going to be the carbons or the browns that you're going to add to your food scraps in the tote. Okay? Then, you just take your food scraps like this, and you dump them in the tote. Ooh, yummy. And add leaves on top. Okay? You just want to cover them with a layer of leaves like this. And then cover them with the lid. Make sure it's nice and secure so you don't get those rats and raccoons and dogs in there. All right. Now, come spring, I'm waiting for spring, take your layered food scraps and incorporate them into a fresh or new compost heap. Okay? Speaking of composting, the best way to make compost is to make each batch all at one time. Don't just toss stuff in the bin or in your drum or your tumbler or in the backyard willy-nilly. Otherwise, it'll never get hot enough to kill weed seeds or pathogens, and it'll take months, maybe even years to get finished compost. So for your next batch of compost, gather up all of your ingredients ahead of time. Then, when you have enough of those, go for it. Now that you know how to compost food waste during the winter or any time of year, if you want to really geek out on composting, check out these videos I selected for you. Meanwhile, have a great rest of your week. Cheers!